Frontier opening bell for today, Wednesday, the 15th of November, goes this way. The final curtains drawn on the Intra-Africa Trade Fair here in Cairo, Egypt. It's been a week long of activities, but a whole lot more of that you can find on Frontier Africa Reports. But let's say reports the Tuesday's trading day, the Nigerian market up by 0.32%, still cruising around the 70,000 level. 208.84 was the finishing line for the composite index for the BRVM in West Africa, 0.32%. The Egyptian market down by 0.25% Tuesday, 0.45% in the north for the Nairobi stock market, 89.35. And the South African market, the biggest jump we saw across Frontier Africa on Tuesday, 2.53%, a roaring day for the GSC, 73,443 on some positive news on the economic front. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. Let's take it first to East Africa, where Safaricom, that iconic telecommunications and fintech company, is predicting a double-digit EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes growth within the Kenyan market on the back of progress is making next door in Ethiopia. Across from the top, you find the Kenya's Agri-Commodities Exchange is expected to go live in 2024. We'll be tracking that for you on Frontier Africa Reports as your global audio video streaming for markets across the continent. The loans from local markets in Kenya is beating its neighbors in Tanzania and Rwanda by about 60%. And Ethiopia gets no bidding for its third round of licensing of wireless telecommunications in the country. That's also good news for the country who sorely needs those investments. In West Africa, the Central Bank of Nigeria's new Central Bank Governor Cardoso says the Central Bank will refocus its role in supporting the economies, but added that the Central Bank has no magic wand to jumpstart the Nigerian economy. And not so good news for the market, as Union Bank, Nigeria's second oldest commercial bank, is exiting as a listed company, will be exiting with the shareholders at 7.70 kobo per share. That news came in through the week. Not so good news, as it were. This is one iconic financial services company on the Nigerian stock exchange, listed 52 years ago, now on the NGX. Now it's got a new shareholders, majority shareholders, who's taking the bank private. That's one bank that'll be sorely missed on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange and the Trading Board. And then yesterday evening was the 2022 edition of the Association of Investment Houses of Nigeria, and of course, two of Nigeria's investment banking companies, Chapel Hill Denham and Stanbic IBTC Capital, stood out for honors yesterday evening, among others, such as FBN, Quest Merchant Bank. And of course, you've got Afrexim Bank announcing a fresh $2 billion for subnationals across Africa. The third edition of that program, which was launched a few years ago, was part of yesterday's events here at the IETF 2023. Ghana's inflation down to about 35.2% year on year in the month of October. That's some good news for President Nana Akufo-Addo. Let's touch on in Southern Africa with unemployment figure recovering. Unemployment is receding slightly. The figure down to 31.9% in the third quarter against 2.6% in the previous quarter, despite the hobbling of the economy on the back of the Eskom's power utility crisis. Angola economy is forecast to grow 3% next year, while Delta, listed on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, one of the biggest, most capitalized company on that exchange, is unveiling a new sorghum beer factory in South Africa. That's where that will be unveiled. And FBC, third quarter on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, reporting total income of 950.5 billion Zimbabwean dollars. Profit after tax came in about 320 billion Zimbabwean dollars, and earnings per share reported at 521.36 for the period under review. September ended. In the meantime, the FBC says it's now gotten all regulatory approval to acquire 100% stake and take over Standard Chartered Bank of Zimbabwe. And Mozambique says it gets about 158 million US dollars from Saudi Development Fund for 3 key projects in the Southern African country. Let me walk you through North Africa's top economic, finance, and investment news. This morning, Egypt's treasury bills and T-bonds outstanding package balances at the end of September was about $160 billion, while Orascom Development Real Estate says its sales was up 80% year on year in the first 9 months, thanks to those massive construction real estate under President Al-Sisi's Excellency, who's hosting this year's edition of the Intra-Africa Trade. Credit Agricole reporting 9 months consolidated profit of 138% year on year. And South Sudan says the restrictions on foreign currency will remain because the country is still under pressure to further reform its foreign exchange market. And Moroccan household deposits up roughly 5% year on year at the end of September. And the move for a single currency on the African continent is not over yet. In my interview this week with Juan Kelemene, who's the Secretary General of the EFCFTA here in Cairo, Egypt, he told me that the African central banks are putting pen to paper and putting heads together to see the coming of a single currency, which should be take to the next level, the Intra-Africa Trade Program, as well as building on the setting up of the Pan-African Payment Settlement System, the PAPSS, which bypasses US dollar, any other foreign currency in moving intra-African trade transactions forward. Those are your headlines this Wednesday morning. The curtain falls today in about an hour or two from now on the frontier, on the Intra-Africa Trade Fair for 2033. Algeria will be hosting the next edition in 2025. It stays in North Africa. I am Bosin Amofaye. Bye for now.